fast, long and slow, bringing you Bigfoot news, hello. Oh yeah. Watching in the woods, catching all the clues. Oh yeah. Digging deep to bring you all the news. From sightings to footprints, it's all in the light. Stay tuned to Squatch-D, it's out of sight.
And good evening, cyberspace. Welcome to Squatch, the Bigfoot News on here on Squatchdtv for today's date, May 31st, 2024. I'm your host, your guide, the Squatch Detective Steve goes along with my co-host right down there, Mr. Chris Bennett. How are you, Chris?
Good to see you, man. Good to see you. I'm doing fine as frog hair. We've had some beautiful weather the last few days. You know, got out a little bit, not too much, but how's things been going in New York?
Well, the weather's been beautiful. My head is not.
Yeah.
But anyone wonders, and in case I'm a little slower tonight than usual, if you notice, I don't have the studio lights on tonight. The vertigo is back. And I had a really, probably the worst vertigo attack I've had since initially being treated for it back in October, and then December, and then it disappeared. And 6 months later, hit me today really bad. I couldn't stand up for a little bit. I nearly fell over.
Well, that's not good. If you get feeling bad during the show, we'll just cut it short. So, do what you can.
Yeah, it's kind of like a migraine almost. It's like you got to shut. And dark, all the bright lights really bother my eyes, so I've kind of kicked it down to nice and dark. And unfortunately, like I was telling Chris, a lot of people, that if you aren't a StreamYard host, the skin on StreamYard is white, and there's no way to darken that.
Yeah.
So it's like really harsh trying to look at the screen a bit for me, and then transitioning. But we'll get through it.
Yeah, it's really bright light right in your face. You know.
Right. Yeah. Like the brightness you see is actually the screen from StreamYard coming back at me. It's all surrounded by white with this blotch, and if they did a nice dark screen, it'd be a lot easier on the eyes. So, Anyway, so I'm a little quiet. It does have the effect of having like this mild type of headache in the background. I wouldn't call it a headache. It's just a complete loss of equilibrium a little bit. But as long as I'm sitting down and I'm focused there and not way out there, it seems like the closer something gets to me, the easier it is for the vertigo to go away. So if I just focus right there on that little camera, it should be fine.
Yeah, hang in there.
But let's do the roll call today.
Yeah, they're cool.
And they are cool. Chris, do you want to do the roll call tonight?
Well, first in, we got Relic Hominid. Says, have a great show. We'll catch you on the replay. Relic Hominid. We always appreciate you. Our good friend Mick. Hey, Mick. It's good to see you, man.
Mick, what's going on?
Sharon. Sharon, have a great show. Thanks, Sharon. Appreciate you. Walter Kroll. Walter, welcome. Good to see you. Little Kilroy. Saw the dang thing. Little Kilroy. Oops. Lance Windsor. Welcome, Lance. Good to see you here. Don Gumow Jr. Welcome, Don.
Hey, Don. How are you?
Pete H. Hey, Pete. Good to see you, man.
Pete.
And there's Jen. Hi, Jen. Welcome. Let's see. Who else we got here? Hope I don't get lost. I see Patrick Barron. Hi, Pat. Welcome. Arthur Watt. I think Arthur's here. Hi, Arthur. I already said Patrick. Let's see. Mitch Hartgrove. Welcome, Mitch. Good to see you back, man. Welcome. Let's see who else we got here. Wolf Killer. I think that's a new one. Wolf Killer.
He said we should make Jen a mod, and I agree.
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea. Finding the Trackway. Welcome. It's good to see you, man.
What's going on?
Big Bad Bill. And Jay Fritz. Hey, Jay. Good to see you, man. So it sounds like Steve may have positional vertigo. Yeah. But that's everybody. And we appreciate you guys coming in here and sharing your Friday evening with us. We're always pleased and honored to have you. Tickled to death.
The up-down motion is what gets me. Not so much side to side, but again, I was eating and I went to go like that. So
yeah, don't necessarily be jumping up and down out of your seat tonight.
no, no.
I don't want you passing out on me. I don't know if I could do the show by myself, man.
Oh, we'll get through it. All right.
Angel Nolan. Angel,
hello.
There'll be some more people file in here as we get going, and welcome to everybody.
Well, Sunday, I canceled the show last Sunday because I had a really upset stomach. I ate something and it just wasn't setting right. I felt blah because of it. So I'm like, I'm not going to do the show. And then Monday I get vertigo and I'm like, you got to be kidding me, right? Yeah. And like I said, fine most of the week, got through the week, and then tonight, boom. So it's like, this is horrible.
Well, I have dizzy spells in the spring. And, I'm one of these people that I believe in using anti-parasitic drugs once a year. And that way your system stays clean and you don't have any buddies riding around inside of you. And those sometimes that ivermectin can make you dizzy. It's made me dizzy before.
Yeah, well, this is no medication I'm taking that's making me dizzy. It's
yeah.
And, anyway, let's get on with the news. And this has been coming up the last few days. The mystery Bigfoot ape hidden inside Rome Museum could rewrite history books. Exclusive Yahoo has spoken with world's top primate expert as the debate over the strange creature species grows. Chimparilla was found in the town of Bayaguma on Congo's bushmeat highway, 25 kilometers from the Kisangani. But despite there being hundreds of dead jungle animals strung up for sale along the notorious stretch of road, villagers have never encountered anything similar. They claim the giant male primate had killed the person, so they shot it 12 times and only one bullet pierced its face, killing it.
Wow.
Sounds like they were bad shots.
It sounds like it. That or they're using a 22.
But they claim the giant male primate had killed the gorilla.
Well, I think those things are difficult to kill because I had watched the old, not Ivan Sanderson. It was John Green had interviewed the guy that got kidnapped by Bigfoot. Oh, come on.
Osman.
Yeah, Osman. And Osman said he had watched a film in the early 50s about these guys shooting a gorilla in Africa. And, I looked through the internet and sure enough, I found it. And they were using high-powered rifles and they had to shoot this thing 3 or 4 times before it finally gave up the ghost, So, maybe they're not as easy to kill as people would think.
Now, they did speak to some of the primatologists, and this is what some of the primatologists said. Ian Redmond, who we've actually quoted on this show in the past, said in terms of identifying this specimen from looking at the photographs, it initially looks to me like a badly stuffed gorilla. Dr. Cleve Hicks, primatologist, having looked at a lot at chimps in my life and gorillas as well, has more of a chimp look to it to me, although, of course, there's an overlap between small male gorillas and large male-like chimps. Dr. Casimir Nabisi, who is a biologist from the Congo, said, we think it was a lost gorilla. We have not seen another one for 6 years. So again, this is nothing new. This has just been discovered, though, by some reporter probably going through a museum.
Yeah.
Because as you can see, sorry, hang on a second. There we go. It's obviously on display. I'm not going to show the picture of the actual capture. It's a little bit too graphic to be YouTube friendly, so we'll just keep it there. I think
Dr. John Hart.
I don't know. I'm thinking it looks more like a gorilla to me.
Yeah. I will agree that it is badly stuffed, whoever prepared it.
Or it could be a chimp too. It's hard to tell. At least one of the large.
Well, yeah, the nose, is kind of gorilla-like to me. It is true, though, that
Dr. Laudisite, wildlife biologist, when you see the picture of the carcass and look at the hands, we really think it's a gorilla, but it has never really been decided. And Dr. John Hart, a field biologist, said, I think it's a chimp, but it's an interesting story and it's worth more investigation. They did have another comment by a wildlife habituator that's out in the Congo that, kind of alludes that, this is a zoological wonder or a cryptozoological wonder and yada, yada, yada.
Well, it'd be easy to get a DNA sample from it and run it through the mill and see what it is.
Exactly.
Not like we got to go chase this one.
Yep. Exactly. All right. Second, and we're going to get through these fast tonight because, like I said, we'll probably do a half-hour show, maybe 40-minute show, just because I'm feeling a little woozy tonight. Next is the young lady who is a fur maker who did a video on the channel Crash Course Cryptozoology. Seems to be a legit channel aimed more towards science than not.
I'm going to check that one out. Crash Course Cryptozoology.
And she was talking about the Patterson-Gimlin film, and of course, in her opinion, there were certain things you would say, no, that's not a crease or not. But when she overall looked at the whole thing, she says, where it becomes expensive is the outer suit would be, but where it becomes expensive is that the prosthetics that would be used to underlay the costume. It would be expensive. It would have to be done by a bunch of experts. Even herself said that they would have to know a little bit about anatomy and have to be anatomically correct. And at the end of the video, she gives it out of a chance of 1 to 10 being a suit, 10 being the greatest, suit, and not a suit. She gave it a 3. So very interesting watch. We'll figure we would throw it out there to folks and let them, check that channel out.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be looking in on that one.
Young kid in his 20s doing the channel. Seems to be doing a good job.
That's good news.
Just let her talk and let her give her opinion and him asking questions and stuff like that.
Right.
So.
Yeah, because it's that would be a whole lot to consider. If somebody was trying to put together a suit, it's not just fur that you can stick on like a Halloween costume. It won't work.
Right.
You got to have the muscle texture and tones and stuff underneath it.
Right. And most definitely, it was just really interesting how you first hear her and she's leaning. It sounds like she's leaning towards suit, but then she starts talking about the undergarment, what it would take to make that look like the muscles, and stuff like that. And she goes, "This is where it gets expensive, and this is not cheap. This is So really,
you got to give it to Roger Patterson, though. He was no dummy. I mean, this guy was an inventor. He was creative. He had a great mind. I'm not dishing on the Patterson-Gimlin film. I can't say one way or the other because I wasn't there.
Right.
But there is some substance to the claims that Patterson was not just a rodeo cowboy. He was a pretty sharp little guy.
Yep.
That don't mean that he made a Sasquatch suit, though.
Yeah.
Don't want to start any wars in the chat. Don't know.
Yeah. Very interesting video. Okay. Another. I don't think that even made the slideshow. We shall see.
I've got that written down. That channel, Crash Course Cryptozoology.
So again, I missed a slide, of course, because I'm trying to make the show with vertigo.
Just hang in there, bud. There's no way I could do anything. It's all on your end, bud.
Yep. So let's do this. Give me 1 second. And that there is a cryptid in Texas called the Otine Swamp Monster, and it's in the it's above Houston, I believe. Fits in that area where there is forested areas of Texas, swampy, and it's been seen for the last decade or two. Circling around the Palmetto State Park. I thought that was interesting. A little article about that.
Right.
And then they said some descriptions put the animal as small as 4 feet tall, while others claim to be 8 foot tall. So a little cute little article that there is a little focus area there. It seems to be surrounded by now the population of Otteen, Texas,
Mm-hmm.
according to Wikipedia, is 100 people.
That's
So it's
very
not like
many.
this big
Yeah.
town. This is this tiny little, outcrop here.
Right. If 2 people saw it, that's 2% of the population.
Right? Yeah.
That's pretty big. Yeah. 100 people.
So that made that very interesting. So I thought that was kind of cool to take a look.
Yeah. Teen Swamp Monster. I'm going to check that one out.
Yeah.
I like the difference in the descriptions of the height. 4 feet, 1 and 8 feet. That could be describing a population.
And finally, I am investigating a sighting report in New York. I spoke to the gentleman this morning. Seems very credible. Also spoke to his mother, who kind of, as a secondary witness, backed up what he was saying.
Yeah. Let me read this off, Steve.
Yeah, go right ahead.
It said, New York, new investigation in New York. I went out to release some opossums that I was rehabbing. I parked just over a mile down an old access road and hiked about a mile into the woods, released my possums, and then decided to go forage for some wild mushrooms. Now, that's a good idea. Walked a bit and came around a bend where I saw something crouched in a stream. At first, I thought it was a large tree stump, but then it stood up on 2 legs. It was holding a large rock as if it was hunting something, like it was going to drop the rock onto something. I saw it before it saw me. It then saw me, made eye contact with me, dropped the rock as it seemed startled, and then ran off into the woods. The only thing I can describe is that it looked like a tall gorilla that was more human-like. It took long strides when running off. The whole encounter lasted less than 10 seconds, but I'm still trying to process what I saw. I've seen bears and other kinds of wild animals. This was easily 7 to 8 feet tall, black hair. The width of the shoulders and chest were just massive. So to me, that seems like a very accurate, believable description of an encounter. It's not like, I saw it walk through this portal and then, we did a waltz.
Now, the amazing thing is that it occurred yesterday.
Oh, wow.
At between 10:30 and 11 a.m. in the morning. Daytime.
Yeah. That's not unheard of. Yeah.
And
Like,
yesterday was a real mild day. Today was warm. Yesterday was mild. It was like in the high 60s, maybe low 70s tops. So in the morning, it was rather cool. It was around 65, 68 degrees. So I spoke to him, and again, he's going through a whole emotional gambit trying to figure out things like that. And there's more to this story. This is just a portion of it. And he did mention that a little bit later on, they did notice this skunky type of smell.
Very cool.
Yep.
I like the idea. I would like to know what it was doing with the large rock.
And this is, of course, is upstate New York. I'm not going to disclose the location just yet.
Right. Yeah.
I will be updating members on the initial investigation. I have some plans to go out there this weekend. Vertigo or no vertigo, I'll get there. And of course, we'll be, you know, taking some equipment with us and doing an interview and doing the whole nines. I'll be updating the membership on Wednesday. You'll get some more of the uncut stuff. And then we will probably do a follow-up show next week, next Friday night, about the Bigfoot investigation for the Bigfoot Evidence Review Show.
Yeah, this one, this seems like a good one to me.
Right.
It seemed like I was really interested in this one.
Right. It just, I saw it and I was kind of flabbergasted. I was like, this is perfect, almost like in my criteria. A lot of people would think, oh, well, you would want this kind of sighting or that kind of sighting, but this was like, you got a very quick sighting on a stream, done.
Checks the boxes, doesn't it?
and now we have this young man trying to figure out what the hell he saw. And he did not want, you know, that's why, again, when you talk about the psychology of Bigfoot, and that's the final news story of the night, when you talk about the psychology of Bigfoot intent that comes out tomorrow, folks, comes out in less than 3 hours. I can't give you the URL because Amazon won't give me the URL until it releases, but it will be out there tomorrow. Available.
Update the video and put one on there, put a link up or something.
Well, I wish I could update the video, but that kind of screws everything up. But we can do it. We're going to do an ad or announcement this week. But we often talk about how the mind processes things. And that's why I'm a little slower. It's because my mind's trying to process my sight. And actually, as I've been sitting here, it's getting a little better. So that's a good thing. It's starting to adjust.
Good.
And that's what happens to the mind. The mind has to, because of, I'll give you a great example. When I vertigo, my mind is interpreting the world as spinning or going in a certain way.
Right.
Right. And again, that's why it takes a little time, because my mind has to readjust to what I'm trying to focus on, to understand and to watch. And now I'm noticing that I'm reading things and it's getting easier. Whereas the beginning of the show, just 30 minutes ago, it's having a real time reading stuff. And it's about the mind kind of adjusting in your head. So if you listen to the way he talks about it at first, where does it go? At first, I thought it was a large tree stump. Then it stood up. And he even said to me that, you know, it went through the whole thing, a gambit went through my mind. Is this a stump? Is it a bear? Is it this? Is it that? That's exactly what your mind does when it sees something it's never seen before.
Right.
That's explained in the book. Chris can attest to that because Chris has read the advanced copy.
Yeah.
So what he's saying to me made all the sense in the world, that psychologically this all seems, and he even states that he ran off. It ran off and he ran off the other way.
Right. That makes sense.
That's when he ran into his mother and told his mother what had happened. And his mother actually reported it.
He got an initial shock too, because when he sees this thing in the stream, he's thinking once he gets that first glance at it, his brain just jumps straight to, it's a stump. It's a stump.
Right.
You know.
Right.
And then once it stands up, okay, now his whole world is thrown into chaos.
And I'll tell you what, his mother, he wrote the story, but his mother put her name and her phone number and everything on it. She wanted to make sure she wasn't going to get a call from somebody trying to make fun of him or doing anything like that. So it's really kind of cool when you call somebody and say, listen, this is what I do, who I am. I've been doing this for a number of years. And I said, and I've seen 2 of them myself. And so, I'd love to talk to him at some point. She said, oh, he's right here. Hang on. Well, then as she's passing the phone to the guy, I can hear her. Oh, this is the guy for the Bigfoot thing. A nice guy, Yeah. So, and that's what you want. You don't want to come off like some kind of investigator, like,
Well, I think him talking about it probably is a good thing right now too, because it's very traumatizing.
Right.
And it'll get you in ways you don't realize.
But I'm going to tell you something very interesting. When I called them, it was about just a little over 24 hours.
Right.
And they were in the car. And he said to me, he said, well, he goes, we're actually just leaving the place again. We went up there and I left some apples up there where I had seen it because I felt like I disturbed it from its hunting or its eating process.
Hmm.
So when you
That's,
hear that kind of stuff, it's like, wow. So yeah, I'll go up with you on whatever day you want over the weekend and over the week. And, you know, so now we'll see the whole area and that's really cool.
That's interesting that he would make a return trip too, especially to leave.
Initially, he was afraid, but I think when he wrote the report, he was afraid. And I think what he did was come to grips with it a little bit more.
Right.
Definitely, he's not a young kid. He's in his 20s.
Right.
And, you know, he works, you know, he has a job. He works overnight. He's a solid kid. And the fact is there was a little funny thing is, hey, didn't you used to go into a gas station in Schuylerville, New York? I'm like, yeah. He goes, I know you. Because I used to work at that same gas station.
Small world, man. It's a small world.
Oh, no kidding. And he didn't call me directly, mind you. His mother didn't. His mother went on search.
Right.
So it wasn't like, and it wasn't a direct contact towards me. It was to another organization, the BFRO. And I just happened to look at it today and go, this is 24 hours old, less than 24 hours old when I looked at it.
Right.
So wanted to jump on it.
This is a good one. I like this one. I really like this one.
Solid. I mean, it's solid. And, you know,
that's about all you could say. You know, you read the report, you either like it or you don't, you know.
Right.
And this is not somebody's imagination running.
Yeah, like I said, I read this before I even talked to him and realized that I had met him before. And do I remember him 100%? No. Because he wasn't working the times I would normally go into that gas station, but every once in a while I would, you know, pop in. And he hasn't been, and I haven't been there necessarily in a few months. So, and he left quite a bit ago. So,
well, yeah, the things I'm interested in, what sounded really, really neat and interesting was it had a rock in its hand.
Right.
Now that's cool. That's cool.
Well, you know what's really cool? If we can find the rock that it had.
Yeah, that would be.
Depending on where it was dropped. Could there be hair or trace evidence left on that rock?
Was it dropped on the bank or was it dropped in the stream? You know,
that's what we're going to find out. Yep, there's a bunch of, and the fact that he left some apples out.
Right.
We got to take a look at those apples very carefully if they have been predated on.
Right.
Particularly something with large teeth that ate it around the core, or maybe ate half of it and dropped it. We'll see what happens.
Well, you know, I tend to believe, I tend to hypothesize that they pop the whole apple in their mouth and chew up the whole thing. I don't think they leave a core. That's what I believe. But you know, hey, that's just my theory. That and $5 will buy you a cup of coffee now. I used to say that and 75 cents will get you a cup of coffee, but not now.
Back in the day, coffee used to be $85 a cup.
Yeah, I remember we used to have to walk to school both ways uphill. But interesting.
Yeah.
And,
no doubt he wasn't getting ready to hunt up. The Squatch was. Don't mind me, a little slow on the swing today.
Maybe he'll find a note by the apples that bring more possums. You know?
Well, the beautiful thing is I always have the go kit that I can just pull out of the closet.
Yeah,
slips on my shoulder. I have DNA collection stuff. I have fingerprint stuff. I have luminol. I have for blood evidence. I have the black light. I have recorders. I have casting material. So
if it doesn't rain before you get back up,
it's not.
That would be the thing. See, the rocks have that rough texture on there.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be great for trapping skin cells.
Right.
Oh, wow.
If we can find the exact rock.
Right.
That's
going to be a tall order. Which rock did you see? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it, he's not concerned about the rock. He's looking at the big hairy thing in front of him.
Right, exactly.
But we'll try to see if there is a rock out of place. We will also try to see if the thing left a trailway, signs of trace evidence that any tracker would find. Where's my tree breaks? Where's my brush stepped on, matted down as it lumbered through the forest? Yeah. And although that may not be scientific evidence of proof of Bigfoot, it's corroborative evidence that this witness was telling the truth. And that's what needs to be done too at times is, okay, if you can't prove a Bigfoot exists, you can at least corroborate your witness that something large had moved through this forest. Right. So it's going to be...
kind of made me wonder. I wondered, do they have like crayfish and other small crustaceans in the waters there nearby?
Maybe. I'm going to check it out.
Yeah.
I have to check it out. I'm not familiar with that particular area.
Right.
Like I said, this is a south case, not a north case.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, but it's not that far. It's less than an hour and a half away. Right. So I've already got the directions to the location, mapped it out. I have the topo map of the area. I have the report. I have my notepads ready to go, and I have my recorders ready to go because we're going to do a recorded interview with him. He okayed to doing a recorded interview.
Yeah, that's good.
So,
Trackway says could be after frogs.
Yeah, could be after frogs. Could be after a fish. There's a lot of stream trout in those streams as well.
I'm not crazy about frog legs, but hey, if that was all I had to eat, it'd probably be pretty good. After about 2 or 3 weeks, I'm sure some Purina puppy chow would look appetizing.
Well, I'm starting to feel much better, folks. I just realized, wow.
Good.
I ain't going to take it easy the rest of the night, though, when we're done. But yeah, so when you do these things, and now we're kind of converting more into the Bigfoot rap a little bit from the Bigfoot news, is that, I can open mind, very positive about this. But, if I see bear sign there, it's going to be a bear. If I see, any change of some story massively, we know what that's going to be. So, am I anticipating this? No. I think I'm very excited to take a look and see what is going to happen and what we're going to find. And like I say,
that's a cool thing about the follow-up visit. You can check for tracks. You can look for signs.
Right. You need to find the like I said. You're not just going out there, I got to find tracks, or I got to find blood evidence, or I got to find some proof or hair. No, you got to find that, but you also got to find evidence to corroborate your witness. And that would, like I said, we did that in 2006 when Bill Brand, the late great Bill Brand, when I went out and investigated the sighting, which only had occurred 4 days earlier. And there it was. We from the point I was able to track the thing 75 feet down to the road in the forest, where it had walked from the hillside down the forest down to the road. You could see where things had been matted down, tree limbs had been broken up high, where something large was walking through there and out. Now, my point being, in any of these cases, if you're a hoaxer, or if this was make-believe, why would you find animal sign that looks like that?
Right.
Because a tree break at 6 foot, 5'10", 6 foot, 5'11", 6'1", when you're finding tree breaks and you're looking at the matting, where things have just, you can find where something had stepped as well, going through with the corresponding tree breaks.
Yeah.
A hoaxer wouldn't have thought to do that.
Right.
They don't know what I'm going to do. They're going to take the report, look around, and go. But all of a sudden, there it is, clear as daylight. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Ooh, look at that. And you say, okay, I'm going to track it. So hopefully, I'll be able to do that to some extent.
Right. If you can't see any outline toes, maybe you can get the impressions, the outline. Right. But, now, Don says, what was it? Would he need a large rock or any tool to hunt stream creatures?
That's the problem. Why not?
Good. He wouldn't have to necessarily need it, and we don't really know that that's what it was doing. But just a theory. Could it be? Hell, as far as that goes, it could have been using the rock and scraping the lichen off of the rock and eating that.
It could be taking a rock to smash a fish over the head and grab it, so
True.
it doesn't put up a fight.
Right. Yep. And then get finned.
Don't know. And you know what? Just because that particular Bigfoot may be doing that there, he may not do it in other areas. Because again, as we've learned with the chimpanzees, gorillas, and orangutans, they're very cultural. They have different techniques of doing the same things depending on which group you're with.
And just so the rock may not have anything to do with anything. He just may have saw it and picked it up and said, "Look at this," And then at that time, oh, look, a human.
Yeah. And really, he doesn't really allude to it. Yeah, well, he does. He says, "I was holding a rock as if it was hunting something," but that's his natural assumption.
Right.
How many times do we hear them rock clack? We hear rock clacking.
Yeah.
Or we've had rocks thrown at us. Rocks thrown at us.
Yeah.
So who knows? Who knows why it had the rock in its hand? But
well, that would be unnerving too. I mean, not only you see something hairy, 8 feet tall, 8 feet tall, stands up where you thought it was just a stump, and then to notice that it also has a rock in its hand. That's not a good feeling, I'm sure.
And finding a trackway brings up another great point too. What if it was hunting a turtle? And there are turtles in that area. That I know. That's for sure. In New York State, like in this whole area, there's turtles everywhere. Yeah. And right, Jay, that was an assumption on his part. And the beautiful thing about that is the way he said it was holding a rock as if it was hunting something. He wasn't making a sure sign, but you can show. I think this guy's legitimate because he's trying to think about what it was doing. Why was it there? What,
rationalize what it was
doing.
Trying to
rationalize what it was doing.
Yeah.
And the fact that he said that I saw it first. And again, I believe I saw mine first as well. That's no different. When I put the light on it, it wasn't looking at me. It turned and it looked at me. So that's the real amazing thing when you look at like I said, you look at these things with a degree of psychology to it. And he even plays it down. He goes, hey, the whole encounter lasted, less than 10 seconds, but I still trying to process what I'm seeing.
Right.
And that again is something very witness worthy. Not a hoax. A hoaxer would be like, oh, this is what happened, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And if you're going to hoax a sighting like that, why would you just make a sighting 10 seconds or less?
Right.
Right. You would elaborate, elongate it a little bit.
Embellish it on. Yeah.
Embellish a little story. Yeah, I'm saying. And when I talked to him, like I said, it was just so fast. Some of the finer detail he can't draw out. Yeah.
You get that split second, man. That's it. Yeah. You're lucky to see that it was
and again, like a legitimate Bigfoot witness does, they have a lot of things going through their mind after the post incident. And even said at one point, I'm not going back there by myself ever again. So,
well, yeah, that depends on the person.
Right. But he did. The next day, he summoned up the courage, and his mother said, "I'll go with you." And
I think once you realize that when you process your own sighting, did it do anything that would seem threatening to me?
Right.
And other than what you hear about some things happening in Alabama and stuff about the mean ones, most of the time, 99% of the time, there was no threatening actions on the creature's behalf towards the person that saw it. Not that I'll go into the woods unarmed.
Mick, that's very true. But as a person that has tracked animals before, you can tell a difference between that and something traveling through where you can find a line of these trees going down with the corresponding matting down. Don't forget, I'm not a rookie here. I've been tracking animals since 2000. And I have tracked some
Right.
smaller game too, and particularly the most animal that I've tracked is deer. So yeah, I'm not a rookie in tracking, and when I see something that's like that, and many years ago, I was in contact with this outdoors guide from the western part of the the central part of the Adirondacks, who was telling me that he said, I don't believe in a Bigfoot, but because I got to tell you, I'm tracking something that it's not a moose, and it's just as big as a moose in its sign.
Yeah.
And he goes, I can't think of anything else. And then what he was calling me was to understand, again, a tracker, a professional guide tracker who takes people. He was calling me to get my input on what I think and could it be, based on my tracking experience and based on me tracking, that one particular Sasquatch. And I've tracked other ones at sightings, but not as clearly as it was in this particular case. So hopefully this will be particularly clear.
Another good thing that it was near water. That's a great location to have a set of tracks somewhere, or at least trackway near the water. Now, as the ground gets further away from the water and it's dried out, sure, you may not get very many subtle tracks, but you'll get some good tracks near the water. That's a good spot. Good thing. See one in a stream is just the way to go.
So it'll be really interesting. And the topography of the area looks pretty damned good. There's no really major civilization hubs around it. And the next mountain range south is the Catskills.
Are you going to do the topographic map, Steve, the geological quadrangle where you can see the low areas and stuff?
Already have it printed. Yep.
Well, I like the fact that it was...
Well, if you heard what we were saying earlier, Wolf Killer, the sighting, of course, this is not the complete story here. All right. This is just a snippet of it. The story is many more paragraphs with all the data I need, the time, the date, the weather.
It occurred between 10 and 11 a.m. Something.
Yeah, it was between 10:30 and 11 a.m., which was during the day.
Yeah.
Hey, and that's good to know. Godzilla -1 will be available on streaming platforms, including Netflix tomorrow.
Very cool.
I know what the wife and I are doing tomorrow. That is, so I'm not having a vertigo attack on the flipping couch.
Well, a good Godzilla movie. Can't beat them. I was raised on Godzilla. I love Godzilla.
This one is supposed to be the best.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so this is a daytime thing. And again, this is just a very, Wolf Colors is very preliminary saying, hey, we're investigating this case. Right. This is the initial, some of the initials, very abbreviated, very to the point. I didn't want to have 3 slides of, narrative and trying to break it down. I did take out a few paragraphs in between and took out the best of each section.
Right.
And also, and daytime sighting, which, again, morning, mid-morning.
Well, the thing about it, too, that I like about it, it's not uncommon for somebody to see a bear in a stream. And then, of course, if the bear gets notices you, it's going to stand up to see what's going on. But this kid says, I've seen bears and all other kinds of wild animals. This was
that, and there is another quote somewhere in this thing, is that when it ran off, it almost like he could feel the thumps in the ground. So, he goes, the thing was very massive. And again, bears don't run off on 2 feet.
No.
They get down on their fours and they ungulate.
Exactly.
Away.
They might stand up for a second to check out what you are, but they go back down on all fours and then boogie, hopefully. Best case scenario. Bears scare me. I'm not ashamed to say it. Bears scare me. Very traumatic. I've only seen one in the wild in my life, and well,
Right.
from outside of a car. Okay, and it was a very traumatic experience. Don't want to do that ever again.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
know, and then grass and talking about cracking my cigarette, but truthfully, I don't smoke as much as when I'm out in the woods, unless I'm standing around. When I'm on the computer, I smoke like a fiend.
Yeah, I think when you're out hiking, the old endorphins get going, and that's a really good substitute for nicotine.
Yep,
it really is.
Yeah, in fact, a lot of times when I'm on the couch, I'm not sitting there smoking one after the other. I tend to do that when I'm on the computer. I tend to do that when I'm doing work. I'm like, and I tend to do that when I'm in the podcast. It just seems like I tend to do that when I'm here.
Jay says, I fear nothing here in my easy chair.
Wait a minute. Wait, Jay, I got to comment on that. It's very clear that there are no easy chairs where you live. It's impossible. Anyway, Jay will get that one. That's an inside joke. But yes, it should be a very interesting time.
I can't wait to hear more about this one.
And I think the weather's going to hold out too. So, Jason's hello. Well, I got it. Yeah. So,
but as he processes this in his mind, he may have more come back to him. Right now, I'm sure he's probably still in somewhat of a state of shock.
A lot of times, you will get the most detail in the initial report. And a lot of times, people start coming up with details after the fact. That kind of worries me. Like, by the way, he also kind of looked back at me a few times as he walked away and stuff like that, and that would disturb me.
That's understandable. Yes.
Oh, I agree with that, Nick. We've had that conversation that Nick says, just to confirm my observation about was on tree breaks in general was a general comment, not directed at you.
Right.
Got that.
But something like something
I
subtle.
agree with that too, Nick.
Something subtle like hair color. Right now it's black. It has black hair, right? But he may recall if it turned, it may have had a little bit lighter brown patch on the chest or something small, minute detail that may come back to him later. It's a traumatic experience. I don't care who you are, what you've seen in the past. When you see one of these things, it's traumatic.
It depends on the type of detail. Like a lot of times you can say, well, I think about it, there may have been a little brown patch there.
Yeah.
Again, you don't know if that's because they're just running into their minds too much.
Right.
Distance, time, dimensions can change a little bit over sitting there thinking about it a bit. But the sequence event should remain the same. There should be no added sequences to it.
Yeah.
That was and of course, you remember the book.
Yeah.
I talk about that in the book, the new book, and I talk about Susan Smith.
Yes.
Right. And how that led to and the reasons why.
Right. That was a good one.
Yep. Of course.
That's not my favorite one, but that was a good one.
Right.
I'm not going to talk about my favorite one. You have to get the book.
Right. And of course, the book has a lot of real world examples and Bigfoot examples too. And it was fun to write. I wish I could write a few more on just case books of people's behaviors and crimes.
Mick says, just to confirm my observation on tree break was general comment, not directed to you. He knows that, Mick. He knows.
Yeah, I just said yeah.
But
Hey, thank you, Jen. Jen got a Right. Let us know. Let me know via
Cool.
PM how it turned out, because I got one through our old handler, and the shirt was okay. But I kind of curious to see what it was through our new.
Yeah, some things that can show up after a Bigfoot sighting. You know, you could get this paranoia going on where everything is Bigfoot.
Yep.
You know, and it's not out of the ordinary for that to happen to somebody.
And,
they hear a pound or a knock on the house or something at night. And, oh my God, it's Bigfoot's coming to get me.
and this kid was he was honest with me. He said, I was very interested in Bigfoot stuff. I've looked at stuff about Bigfoot and other strange things, but I never thought that this would happen to me.
Right.
And that follow up alone showed the sincerity of it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, 99% of the people that go out searching for them never have a sighting their whole lives. And then you've got a percentage of people that were just out there having a picnic in the woods or going on a hike, nature trail, and then all of a sudden they pop around a corner and there's one standing looking at them.
Well, here's the thing, Chris. What makes this whole sighting, and Kaiju Ninja made a great comment. I joined late, but the person who had that sighting was lucky the Bigfoot didn't throw the rock at them. And that would show signs of aggression. And if it's not a territorial thing, which this is obviously not, because it was not aggressive at all, it did very similar activity in home range. But what was it doing? It was doing something. It was either fishing or maybe it was even getting a drink.
Yeah.
You ever think that maybe the Bigfoot was dipping the rock in the water and licking the water off the rock?
Don't know.
Possibility. But whatever it was doing an activity, which makes it a foci activity area. And the activity it was doing was not threatening to it or not a sensitive topic.
Right.
So it did what its normal behavior, what it does in the home range, turns around and walks away. So what that's telling me is that, okay, this is an area it may frequent to do X, Y, and Z. Now, it may not frequent that area, but the whole idea is getting into that area and kind of see if we can't track it a little bit, get any surrounding forensic evidence, and then take a look at the area as a general area to see where they may be hiding out, or where this particular Sasquatch may be hiding out, when it's on its downtime. So that's the real goal of things.
Check for pine trees and apple orchards.
And grass. That's the beautiful thing about this kid too. He didn't stick around either. He goes, it went one way, I went the other. Because I wasn't, he was scared at first. That was his initial reaction after he realized and saw, walk away, I'm getting the flip out of here.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's something, no matter how brave you are or how brave you think you are.
Yep.
If you see one in the woods, you're going to have to physically remind yourself to keep your feet planted to keep from running away in terror. Guaranteed. Right.
I'm sorry, I'm just looking at something here.
Wolf said, why wouldn't Bigfoot throw a rock at a person? Aren't they supposed to be docile? And yeah, they the only times I've heard of violent encounters has been like Alabama, southern Bigfoot, where they, of course, those are stories, okay, about the Bigfoot took a hunter's shotgun and wrapped it around a tree, things like that.
Yeah.
I don't find those too credible.
No. I mean, it's a very non-incredible, brief sighting.
Right.
That is ones that stick out. That hey, this sounds super legit. If it's not a it's not a hoax. I think at the very worst, it's a misidentification. But
right.
He even said that, I've seen bears and other wild animals in the woods. This was none of them. So how are you going to argue that?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I wouldn't necessarily trust a Bigfoot with my life. Whatever this thing is, it's a wild creature,
right?
And you do not trust your life. You do not place trust of your life into the hands of a creature that you don't know what it's thinking. But then again, I don't believe I would, I don't think they're going to intend us any intentional harm. But I always carry a sidearm regardless. Again, it's not for Bigfoot. It's just for.
Oh, and Chris, just in case you wanted to know, I'm sporting my Uncle Fester look today.
Oh, that's good.
Without the hat.
I personally like that look. Since the early 90s, I've sported Uncle Fester. Can't have that. Can't beat it. I mean, I have saved enough money on shampoo over the years. I could buy a new car tomorrow, and it would be free of charge because I have saved that much money on shampoo. I don't know though. By the time I figured in the cost of razors, I maybe break even. So better not say that. But I did notice, this is kind of off the subject now, but I did notice that they got this new head shaving thing on some of the ads on YouTube, electric head shaver thing. I'm going to check that out.
I don't buy it.
Don't think it'll work.
No.
It has a lot of blades. I like that idea.
I still don't buy it. I still don't think it's gonna.
Yeah, I've been a blade guy for myself too since the Air Force. Those electric shavers, it's just never. It doesn't get close enough for me.
Well, I'll tell you why. Somebody said something about why would you trust the Bigfoot versus a Chihuahua that and Jay said his Chihuahua bit him.
Yeah,
and I'll tell you why, because primates have reasoning areas of the brain,
right?
Whereas sometimes small dogs and even large dogs, they just go on instinct.
Yeah.
A lot of times.
Chihuahuas are vicious too.
Right. Again, primate, canine, very different things. And think about the Chihuahua. The reason why they're so bitey is because that's their defense. They're tiny. What else do they got?
Yeah, that's the first answer to any
try
problem.
To scare somebody. Bite. Some of them act like they try to scare you out, But Rufus, he don't get mad at nothing. He don't bite nobody.
No, yeah, Rufus is big. That's the last thing on his mind. Well, I got to bite this guy. Nah, nothing else. Just jump on top of him and knock him to the ground.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny because you want to know how perceptive, and this is like, Sasquatch. Although there's a lot of shows out there and videos that will try to tell you that Sasquatch is really unpredictable. But if you look at all legitimate sightings, they're very predictable. Why is that? Because there is no evidence that a Sasquatch ever harmed anybody. Sans Bobby Ford back in 1971 when he went, in Falk, Arkansas, and he got sent to Texarkana Hospital. And most of his trauma seemed to be up in his head, not what physically happened to him. Right? Let's face it. That Bigfoot was supposed to have been nasty. It was brash. It was reaching in windows. It was, it was
one of the meanies from the South.
One of the meanies. But yet when it had a direct confrontation with Bobby Ford, did it rip him apart? No. Did it twist his neck? No.
Yes, I'm a firm believer.
We have some people for the price of a television show trying to allude that a Bigfoot did this to somebody, did that to somebody. But when you look at the real evidence, it looks like, what it did it? Natural causes and hypothermia.
Mm-hmm.
Right. No evidence whatsoever that a Bigfoot ever harmed anybody in the course of human history. Not saying it did not happen, but there is no direct evidence of that whatsoever.
But I still don't trust my health to my life.
No, and you should not have any wild animal, domesticated animal. Before we go, it's 10 o'clock. See, we made it through the hour.
You did it.
I'm actually feeling better. Because as time elapses, it's getting less and less and less and less.
Yeah. Well, good.
But just to show you how responsive an animal is when I had my vertigo attack earlier. I wanted to lay on the floor, so I put my little box fan on the floor near the air conditioner. Yeah. And when I did, I kind of fell over.
Right.
And I got out, got the fan position, laid down. And within a minute, something was coming under my arm to lick my face.
Right.
Not around to the front, but literally under my arm to lick my face.
Yeah.
And that was my dog.
Yeah.
He knew something was wrong.
Right.
Yeah. And he doesn't like being held down. And he actually wedged himself under my arm to get to me.
Right.
That shows how smart and intelligent animals can be. And that's a dog.
Oh, yeah.
So, little food for thought. Anyway, Chris, we've made it through this episode of the Bigfoot News.
Yeah, I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight over in the chat.
Do you like the new format on the graphic, by the way?
I like it. I always like the Bigfoot sitting in front of the microphone in the suit.
That I wanted to keep. Yep.
But the red and the blue Bigfoot News down at the bottom, I like that. That's new. I like that.
So, yep. And we're still going to work this week on the graphics. We're working on some show tunes. We have a new, and every once in a while, I'll get a complaint. I mean, while we're here the next few minutes, every once in a while, I will get a complaint about they don't like the Squatch-D TV theme. It's too obnoxious. Well, I kind of like that music, but we have kind of got something new on the board for that, and I think we're going to go out with that tonight with the new Squatch-D TV intro. Chris is laughing because he thinks he's got to have some kind of joke in there, but I don't. I actually doing some branding stuff and rebranding stuff earlier this week. And like I said, I appreciate you guys all. Love you guys all for being here.
Thanks,
Members, Wednesday night, 9 p.m., we're going to be doing, for the Squatch-D TV members, we're going to be doing an evidence review. I'm going to put the pictures up. I'm going to put the audio up. I'm going to, we're going to listen to it and talk about it as a group of colleagues. Because this is a membership thing, so it's just our little close community here, and we can talk about it as members. And I think that's going to be awesome, and I love to hear your input on what you guys think and what we can come up with. But anyway, so we're going to go out tonight with the new, what am I doing the mouse for when I have this new little gizmo here? We're going to do the new Squatch-D TV intro. Doesn't looks a little bit the same. Sounds a lot different. And no, Chris, it's not a joke. You got a grin on your face like, I'm waiting for this. Anyway, good night, folks. We love you. We'll catch you all Sunday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on Squatch-D TV. Have a great one. So here's a new intro. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, never mind.
Oh, that's nice.
Here we go. Well, first, let's do this.
Well, that was kind of upbeat. I like that electronica dance music.
A little dubstep. All right, here we go. Secrets lay sleeping. Oh, yeah.
Squatch-D-TV, they're on the case. Steve and Chris, no mystery they can't face. Busting hoaxes, exposing lies. They're the champs of the Bigfoot mystery. Mystery. Bringing truth, science, and clarity. Squatch-D-TV, they're the real deal. Uncovering the truth, it's time to reveal. Squatch-D-TV, take us on your quest. Find the legend, put the rumors to rest. Late at night, shadows creeping. Deep in the woods, secrets lay sleeping. Ooh yeah. Squatch-D-TV, they're on the case. Steve and Chris, no mystery they can't face. Busting hoaxes, exposing lies. They're the champs of the Bigfoot mystery.